Hi, a pleasant good afternoon to everyone. I am Logos Rhonda. Have you ever thought of what is emotional sin? My thoughts of emotional sin is anything that you allow you to cause you to get in a way of thinking unhappy, sad, thinking evil thoughts, things that can't help you through a situation with effective communication. And there you are, just allowing yourself to start to react. You start to react. So, what you do not want to do is, you don't want to get angry and sin. That emotional sin acts up when you hear things is not the way we may want it to go, or a person is not acting in the way you expect them to act. But what causes that emotional sin? When you allow yourself to get angry, and you just start to act out without control, without things that you want, that you may say that you may regret afterwards. Those things are emotional sins. Those things carry us back into situations that can harm us, that can cause us to get sick, that can cause us to have enemies, that can cause us to be in conflict with other people, that can cause us to be, it can even cause us our lives. It depends on what the situation is. So we have to learn to control ourselves and not get angry and sin. When a situation arises, what we may need to do is to take time. Now, you will have to take time and think as the best way for you. How are you going to deal with this? One of the major ways to deal with this is to go to God. You take it to God, you give it to God. At the moment you may get a little angry, but take a rain check. Take stock of yourself, pull yourself together, and go to God with your situation that you feel that you can handle. But clearly, if it's getting you angry, that means you are not capable of handling it. So you give it to God, and from there, when you seek God, God will always give you a way out. Even in a situation where it might be in a husband and wife settings, better you stay quiet and think, before you act out. Better stay quiet as long as you need to, until you are able to get yourself under control, where you can have a conversation, or where you can think out the situation and deal with it rationally. So let us not get anger or angry and sin. So anything that we can do to avoid that anger that can take us to that level of depth of hatred, thinking evil, doing the wrong things, causing conflict, let us not do it. Let us not get angry and sin. And one of the accounts that took place is in Genesis 6, where it was the corruption of man, where God was so disgusted of man's behavior on the earth at that time. So I will give some time and I will go through Genesis chapter 6. Genesis chapter 6, corruption of mankind. Now it happened, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born of them, that the Son of God saw the daughters of man were beautiful and desirable, and they took wives for themselves. Whoever they choose and they desire, they took wives for themselves. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive and remain with man forever, because he is indeed flesh. The way how they were acting out, it was just self-indulgence. It was just ignorance. It was just arrogance, and that God could not have stand that way that man was reacting. They were sinful. They were corrupt. They were given of sensual appetite. They had this appetite to be just carry on. No kind of communication, no kind of love. They were just carrying on. Nevertheless, his days shall be yet 120 years. So in all that way they carried on, they still had the opportunity to live until 120 years. They were giants, meaning they were men of great stature. They were also notorious men. So nobody had no control. Whether man had, whether they were of high esteem, they were just at a level of that corrupted, disgusted way that disgusted God. But they were also notorious men on the earth in those days, and also afterwards. And also afterwards, when the Son of God lived with the daughters of men, and they gave birth of their children. So this thing just keep continuing. Man carrying on, children, they making children, and everybody just have no self-control. All is a lot of emotional sins taking place. Whatever is taking place, nobody's trying to resolve. They were just carrying on. These were mighty men who were old men of renown. They had great reputation. The Lord saw that the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and every imagination or intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil, continually, day after day, night after night. They were just continually carrying on in this disgusted way of which God could not stand. The Lord regretted that he made mankind on the earth, and he was grieved in his heart. He was grieved in his heart. So the Lord said, I will destroy mankind, whom I have created, from the surface of the earth. Not only man, but the animals and the crawling things and the birds of the air, because it grieved me. God said it grieved. You know, when you are grieved, how you feel? When you are grieved, you feel that pain all down in your stomach. You don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You just wish it just, whatever taking place just wasn't taking place, and you're just sorry. In this case, God was grieved that, like, he was sorry he made mankind, to see mankind sin, and he regretted that he have made them. But Noah found favor and grace in the sight of God. Noah was one of them that was humble and probably submitted himself to God. So through that, Noah was able to find favor and grace in the sight of God. These are the records of Noah's generation. Noah was a righteous man. He was just and upright standing with God. He had a just and upright standing with God, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. Noah became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was corrupt in God's sight, and the land was filled with violence. All over was just violence. Filled with assault, filled with outrageous behavior, filled with lust for power. They were just fighting among themselves. Who won this and who won that? They were just lust for power. God looked on the earth and saw how divided and degenerated the earth was. For all humanity had corrupted their way on earth and lost their true direction. God said to Noah, I intend to make an end of all that lives.